Hello, good morning. Thank you, Laura, and good morning, everyone. Hello from Brussels. My name is Jorge Cánovas and Project Advisor from the European Innovation Council, an SME executive agency. And on behalf of the agency and of the whole European Commission, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this session of the European Innovation Procurement Awards. So, as you can see here in the agenda, today we will try to guide you a bit through the new edition, and also we'll count with the testimonial of the winners of last year, who will give you some insight tips that will most likely will help you to produce your application for this year. First of all, let me show you what we call the EIC prices ecosystem. Because the Innovation Procurement Awards is not just a prize standalone, but it's a part of a big family. As you can see here on the screen, we have now 5 EIC prizes that what we want to do through all of them is supporting innovation and all the innovators from a different perspective. So the first of all, we have the European Capital of Innovation Awards that is tackling the innovation in the cities. So everything that is done for the benefit of the citizens. The next one is the new Humanitarian Innovation Prize that, as you can imagine for the name, we are tackling innovation and from the humanitarian perspective. Next one is the Women Innovator Prize that we will launch in the coming weeks. And the last one is the European Social Innovation Competition that we closed actually yesterday. So I invite you to check our website to see the different deadlines and also to see if you also want to apply to one of these prizes. So when we think in the agency, why do we want to have an EIC prize? It's really simple, because we really believe that an EIC prize is a really important tool that will support all the public policies that we do at European level, and also that we want to do is to stimulate the positive change that all the different actors of the ecosystem are doing. So through these prizes, what we want to do, as you can see here in the slide, they are based and they are supporting the different EU big policies, as is Horizon Europe, the new European Innovation Agenda, and of course everything is translated in the work program of the agency. This is really important when I mention these legislative initiatives, because as you will see also in the rule of contest, all the eligibility criteria, all the award criteria, and everything that is related to the prize, then is also confronted and is also reflected in the legislative proposals. So that's why I can invite you also to take a look to them in order to go to draft your applications. And of course, what we want to do with the different prizes, we want to support the main objectives at European level, as is the Green Deal, the new European Bauhaus, Renovation Wave, Repower EU, and of course, the breakthrough innovation that is the main objective of the European Innovation Council. So now let's take a look more closer to the edition of this year. So, as you all know, innovation procurement is a really important tool. So that it stands for the 14 of the European GDP. So what we really believe, and this is reflected in the European Innovation Agenda, that the innovation procurement is an important tool that will create new markets, is also supporting and the establishment and the increase in the quality of the public services. We also want to boost the smart investment, and we want to have at the end, we want to create new markets for business, especially SMEs, because this is one of also the objectives of the agency. And what we want to do is to bring to the light the work that all of you are doing on supporting and innovation procurement. So this here, you can see what are the main objectives that you will see also reflected in the rule of contest. So we know that all of you are doing an excellent job, and we all know that using innovation procurement is not always easy. So that's why we want to recognize what you are all doing by using this innovation procurement, taking risk to use these new ways to approach the market. And also we want to demonstrate that the power that this innovation procurement has to transform the economy, that we are supporting and fostering innovation. And of course, because we really believe that innovation procurement is the best way to tackle the societal challenges that we have now. Here now, let's see to the categories, because this is one of the novelties that we have introduced this year. If you remember, in the last edition, we have 3 categories, but now this year we have created only two categories. So the first one, that is what we call Innovation Procurement Initiative category. Here we want to have everything that it was in last year in categories 1 and 3. So as you can see here, we want to reward the actions, the strategies, and the action plans that are triggering innovation procurement and sustainable solution and practices. So here, when you will apply, you will see in the system that you have two different places or links to apply. So if you are doing something that is, let's say, general, then you have to go to category 1. However, if your work is aimed to support the green energy transition, then you go to category 2. So you will see exactly what we mean by a green energy transition, but please, in this case, choose correctly the link, choose correctly the category that you will apply, because of course that also will give you, so that will guide you the jury members to review your application. And also last year we had then only one winner and one runner-up, but then this year we will have one winner that will receive 75,000, one runner-up 50,000, and another runner-up will receive 25,000. And also it's important to say that all these winners will receive not only money, but they also will receive the support, and also they will be invited to join the EIC Prices Alumni Network in some of the working groups of the EIC Forum. That if you want, maybe later during the session of questions and answers, we can talk a bit more. So the eligibility criteria are quite similar to the one of the past edition. So of course, what we want to see is if you are a public or private procurer, individual, natural person, and also those legal entities that are supporting all these practices. You must be established in one of the member states, so including overseas countries and territories, OCTs, and also associated countries to Horizon Europe. One thing also that is important is the deadline on when you have started your initiative. So everything that is after the 1st of January 2018 can be presented to this competition. So it doesn't matter if you have finished your work or not. The important thing is that the starting date was after the 1st of January 2018, and then later what the work or that the jury members will assess is everything that is done until the day that you present and you submit your proposal. And the last thing here, of course, the practice must have taken place also in a member state or associated country to Horizon Europe. As we said before, you see that there are two different categories. So the important thing is that you can only apply to one of the two categories if you are using the same application. So you cannot present the same application to both of them, because if not, one of them will be disqualified. And in this case, then the winners of the last editions and also the runners-up are not eligible, and now you will see their faces, and then you will have the chance to meet all of them. So now let's take a look a bit more careful to the different award criteria. I always say that it's really important that you take a look to what we exactly mean by the different award criteria, and also, as I mentioned before, that you take the time to read also the different proposals, the legislative initiatives that I mentioned at the very beginning, because also they are completely linked. So the proposals, the legislative initiatives, and also the EU policies, they are also reflected in this award criteria. So that will help you to build your application and to have the narrative that always the jury members they are looking for. So in the first case, the award criteria number 1 is transformation. So what we want to see here is how you stimulate the way that it changes the normal practices that you move towards the innovation procurement, because we know that this is not easy. We know that you face a lot of barriers and a lot of people who say, why are you doing this when maybe it's quite risky, sometimes it's a bit more expensive, and they don't see at the end of the day, some years after, they don't see what can be the added value. So here we want to reward how you transform these practices. In the award criteria number 2, that is called uptake, we want to see how your procurement practice is replicable and scalable. So because also, as you can see, for the whole price, and also for the different prices that we have, is that we want that you help each other. So what we want to know is that what is happening, for example, in the case of of Norway, this practice can be also done in some other places in the European Union, and also the one that will present you, our colleague Rosana from Aquas, that also in Spain, then they can be replicable in another part of Europe. So that's also important, because at the end, if we are able to replicate this different good initiative, then we will contribute to provide much more efficient and effective solutions. The number 3 is the collaboration. So here what we want to see is how you help each other. That's as simple as that. So we want to see the synergies that you have, how you promote your best practices, not only in your ecosystem, but how you go beyond and how you help each other, how you build capacity buildings, your development, how you work on the skills of everyone that is around you, because we want, as I said also before in the work criterion number 2, we want to see how you help each other, and especially we want that to see if you are helping not only those that are really close to you, but also those that are much farther, and especially those that are in a different state of maturity. Because also, as you will see in the new European European Innovation Agenda, we want, that is also linked to other initiatives, we want to tackle this innovation divide gap. So we want that you help each other, and we want to use innovation procurement to help all of you. And the last one is the number 4, that is called the societal impact. As you can imagine, when you read all the rule of contest, and when you hear talking about the different proposals that we have on the table, and about all the EU priorities, we want to see how your practices are having a quantitative and qualitative positive impact on the society. And of course, the most important thing that we want to see is how you are promoting the Green Deal and the digital transformation priorities. So this is at the end what we want to see in the number 4. So now, before I finish and I pass the floor to our colleagues from the past editions, then here you can see the timeline. So you have until the 17th of August to apply. You see that we put exactly 5 o'clock sharp. So I always say that is 0000, because the system is quite clear. So if you try to send your application 1 second later, it will not be possible, because the system will close. So we always say to all of you, please don't leave it until the last moment, because you might have some problems, and if that happens, we cannot do anything. Then later, the jury members, they will run the evaluations between the August and December 23, and the hearings will take place between December and January, with the idea of revealing the names on the award ceremony in the quarters 1 or 2 of 2024. You saw in the video some images of the award ceremony last year, and then we hope that this year then you will be part of this award ceremony. So now you can see here some of the pictures and some of the faces of the past winners, and now you will have the chance to talk to all of them. So just one last thing. So why do you think that you should apply to this competition? But later, then we will go a bit more in detail during the questions and answers. So as we said, the policy orientation is it's important, because you will promote the culture of innovation procurement, and you will change the risk aversion. Also, it's also rewarding for you and for your colleagues, because you will know much more of what the other colleagues in your agencies or your companies they are doing, and this is something really good, because also will create some cohesion even more in your teams. And the last one also is visibility and recognition at European level, and that's we will talk a bit later. So now here you have here the QR code. So if you want to hear a bit more, then you can scan this QR code, and then you will see the full role of contest and all the information. So now I give the floor to Rosana, and then she will guide you through and give you some insight tips for this application. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jorge, and EISMEA for inviting me today to share with you our public procurement innovation that was awarded last year, and also some of the tips to submit your application this year. Next slide, please. Okay, we I'm talking on behalf of few entities from Catalonia that we were the ones now winning the award last year, and we were making part of a bigger consortium where we had 3 hospitals from Catalonia, Hospital de Sant Pau, Mutua de Terrassa, Hospital de Bellvitge, together with another hospital in UK, the Liverpool Heart and Chest Hospital. And altogether we were making part of a project funded by the European Commission by Horizon 2020 that was aiming to improve the healthcare path of pacemaker patients. So we had, it was a joint procurement led with the lead procurer, Hospital of San Pau. Each of the hospitals had its own lot. Overall, the procurement budget, we are talking about approximately 20 million euros. And the role of Aquas was the coordinated entity of this co-funded European project, together with some other knowledge entities that were supporting to put together this procurement, Valde, Smart Homes, Innovation Agency. Next slide, please. Mainly the idea of this procurement, as I was mentioning, was transforming and is transforming because it's in place. We are still there with this contract, and we are really satisfied with the results. Transform completely the pacemaker service because we identified an issue. And this issue was around the fact that how the pacemaker service is built usually is hospital centered, and to transform it in a way that is moves to patient centered. Right now we have an increasing number of patients to treat and monitor. We have lack of resources to coach educate patients. We have limited capacity to monitor the patient remotely. We have limited or not integrated care with GPs and primary care. We have limited available human resources also from hospitals, the lack of physicians, lack of nurses, limited available for economic resources. That is, we have economic resources, but since the growing number of patients, the resources are always the same. And the procurement of pacemaker is based on price with limited capacity to get access to the last generation of devices. With this transformation, we can offer to our patients remote monitoring in a way that if something goes wrong, we can detect it in real time. We have face-to-face visit only when clinical relevant. We provide the most adequate arrhythmia therapy, so the most adequate pacemaker. In case of doubts or fear, we also we provide coaching support to our patients, and also we are now finally integrating with the primary care and GPs. Next slide, please. And how we did it? We did it moving from a relationship with the pacemaker providers from a price and payment per device to a risk-sharing model based on capitation fees per comprehensive service. So we listed all the activity that now we want to provide and we are providing to our patients in a way that together with a supplier that is now a partner for us, we have this activity guaranteed and with some fluctuation, but in any case, we have this activity guaranteed. And at the same time, we are now paying part of the contract based on the quality performance indicator achievements. So we have determined which indicators are relevant for the patients, for the clinicians, for the healthcare providers, and which ones are more responsibility of the provider, maybe high responsibility of the provider, technological provider, the accountability of the provider maybe is a mid-term or low-term, and depending on this, then we agree with the specific organizational board, governance governance board, how we are meeting these indicators. Next slide, please. This has completely revolutionized the healthcare service, ProPacemaker. We are now, these are results of from some months ago. Honestly, I do not get the latest, but we are really satisfied because we have now a bigger number, or more than 2,000 patients remote monitoring. We have the 30% of reduction of hospital visits, because the hospital visits that are clinical relevant, still we are doing them, but the ones that can be now monitoring remotely now are remotely monitored. 90% of the patients are joining the Gomocor program are satisfied. We can identify major complication in real time, and also we have reduced the urgent implants waiting time. And also we have, so the impact is really clear for us. And the uptake as well, because in Catalonia, we are applying the same model to different kind of contracts, for instance, defibrillators, for diabetes, for aortic stenosis. We have, thanks to, again, within the project lifetime, we produced a policy brief, handbook and guidelines that we are now tackling and using it for other kind of procurements that we are then now defining right now for the next generation funds in Catalonia. So really, for us, this kind of contract has been really not only impactful, but a way to change and to transform our healthcare delivery. Next slide. Some tips for your application this year. I'm sure that who is now engaged in innovation procurement already is meeting eligibility criteria and award criteria, but sometimes it's not so easy, no, to shape all the knowledge, all the content you are producing up to now in this award criteria. So really, you need to analyze all your work you did in terms of awarding criteria, what you are transforming, how you are transforming, the uptake, the impact, the collaboration, as Jorge was suggesting very well. It is at the end, the innovation procurement is a collaborative exercise. A collaborative exercise implying different stakeholders, how you are engaging them, what happens now with these, the skills, the capacity, and also how they are understanding regarding innovation procurement and the societal impact. And once you have analyzed how all the work you are doing can fit in these 4 boxes, you need to be able to synthesize this. And this is sometimes maybe the most difficult part. So you need to dedicate some time to make the synthesis in order that then the evaluators are able to spot right away, no, the correct wording, the correct highlights that describe your public procurement initiative. And then one of the most difficult moments for us was the hearing. Let's be honest, we were not, it has been like a surprise somehow. So why? Because we had to synthesize again, further, our results of our project related with, again, these 4 awarding criteria in a PowerPoint, in a presentation. And this sometimes also is difficult. You would like to say more and more. And so again, try to be synthetic and to spot the main highlights. And also, why not add specify information maybe you were not able to specify in the proposal, because at the end of the day, the jury read already the proposal. So if you can add some highlights, some titles, some subtitles to the big titles that you already gave in the proposal, why not? This is good, because they can see something more, and they can maybe also have additional insights regarding your progresses and your results. Select strategically who will present. That's important. there will be no seats, assigned seats to who will present, who can answer to the questions, and also just who joined the audience. That's also important, that who present and who answer the question is knowledgeable, on the progress, on the results of your PPI, Public Community of Innovation, and make rehearsal to fit in the time that you need to fit, because they will give you some specific time slot, so you cannot exceed. So that's also important to ensure that everything fits in the rules, and I'm sure that you will be successful. Thank you.
Many thanks, Rossana. So before passing the floor to another testimonial, a past winner of the European Innovation Procurement Awards, I just wanted to remind our participants that they can that we will have a Q&A session after the presentation of Joan, and they can already send questions regarding the introduction shared by my colleague Jorge or Rossana presentation via Slido. You can do so by connecting to slido.com and use the hashtag procurement 2023. So we will also remind you later and share again this code, so you can connect to slido.com and use the hashtag procurement 2023 to share your questions. Please remember that by default, Slido will share your question in anonymous. In case you want to use your name, remember that the default setting of Slido is, of course, anonymous. So I will now pass the floor to Joan Englund, who is the Senior Legal Advisor of Startoff, which was one of the past winners of the prize. Joan?
Thank you very much, Laura, and thank you for the invitation. As you mentioned, the Startup program won the European Innovation Prize last year, and it was for the Startup program, which is a new tool that we have created in order to stimulate innovation procurement from the startup market. Public sector in Norway procures products and services for more than 50 billion annually. We need to increase the level and speed of innovation and change the transition for a more sustainable tomorrow. The Startup program is all about speed and change. Next slide, please. In the Startup program, we have created a brand new innovation procurement friendly framework. The model is based on a pre-commercial procurement practice and is also inspired by methods that is used around the world, as well as best procurement practice here in Norway. This is a framework for buying the process of innovation, where the startup market is invited to develop minimum viable products to solve challenges in the public sector within a fixed budget and a time frame of 6 months. I won't go through the startup process in detail, but to give a general description, we use pre-commercial procurement methods in which we publish challenges from a public client. And the challenges, they are described in a written needs description and in a short promo video that we publish. And although the startup challenges, they are open for the whole market to solve, we specifically invite startups and small companies to send us short idea sketches with a maximum of 2,000 words in order to solve the challenges that we publish. And these idea sketches, they are evaluated against award criteria. And then we invite 3 companies that during 3 weeks and for a payment of around 4,500 euro, and in a close dialogue with a public client, develop a proposal which are pitched for the client and the startup team. And then we once again evaluate the proposals and we pick a winner which gets around 40,000 euros to develop an MVP. So the model is to minimize the amount of time invested in the procurement processes for both public clients and the participating suppliers. And the startup team plays a crucial role in order to facilitate the process. So we have developed standard contract templates and tender documents in order to conduct the process. Next slide, please. In our application, we highlighted 4 add-ons. The first add-on was the project management role of the startup team that minimizes risk. Other innovation procurements, they're often managed by public procurement department, and often a public procurer has never conducted an innovation procurement before. So these kinds of processes are therefore vulnerable for errors. And as the startup project is managed by a highly professional startup team, the projects are done in accordance to rules and regulations, delivered on time and with a high quality. So the arena is also used as arena for learning and yeah, focusing on delivering the best solution possible. The second add-on that we highlighted was the fast-track project implementation. Startup projects have a limited scope, so this makes the challenges that we work manageable, and minimum viable projects can be conducted within this time frame of 6 months. And combined with a 55,000 euro budget, the risk is lower compared to larger innovation procurements. And the third add-on that we focused on was the commercialization. We only work with challenges that can carry a potentially large commercial upside. We do not want the public client to only be interested in the solution. It is important also that the companies sort of can develop their solutions further and sell it to a broader market. Therefore, we have the commercial potential as one award criteria when we pick out the companies that we work with. And the fourth add-on is that we assist the public procurement departments in order to buy the outcomes of the startup products. A challenge in many R&D projects where a public entity wants to buy the outcomes of an R&D project is that the public procurers find it difficult to conduct a procurement in line with the regulation. So therefore, we always encourage the public procurement departments to reuse the functional specifications that we have used when we published the initial startup product. So this will ensure the possibility to buy the outcomes in line with the general principles in the EU Directive for Public Procurement. Next slide, please. Let us take a look at the collaboration. Startup in itself is a collaborative effort. We are 3 partnering organizations, but we do not only cooperate on paper. We all work in multidisciplinary teams with all the organizations participating, and where we also are located together and sit in offices outside our own organization. We work together with the innovation procurement ecosystems here in Norway, but we do have a true laboratory for how effective we can work together. In startup, we are not only representing our organizations, we are also carry out a new identity. This is to inspire others to work with innovation procurement. Next slide, please. Since January 2021, we have conducted around 20 projects, and over 85% of them have resulted in either continued collaborations and or in a actual procurement to implement the solution. Here is one example. It's the Norwegian Labour and Welfare Administration, which developed the solutions to recruit other user testers when they're developing new digital solutions. And here it was a small startup that sent us an application and an ID sketch on how to solve or build this solution. The thing was that this startup was not even registered, so the actual companies was established during the process. They have now continued this R&D work. They first developed an MVP, and now they are continuing to develop the solutions further. And the Norwegian Labour and Welfare Administration, they will do an actual procurement of the solutions in the coming months. So this is an example where you have a public entity which have got a new solution developed, but you also have a company that has been established and also have been able to sell solutions to other clients. It's a good example of where we also reached this the commercialization of the solution. Next slide, please. We were happy to win the procurement award in 2022 in the category of procurement leadership. Anita Kron Fawcett, which is the former director of the Norwegian Norwegian Agency Innovation Norway, and she's now also a board member of the European Innovation Council. She described the prize as the Champions League of innovation procurement. And for us, this is of course a huge recognition to win this prize, both internationally, where the international community starts to look at Norway and what we do here, but also nationally, where our politicians and other decisions making got more attention on innovation procurement in general, but also start off as a tool to deliver or to implement innovation procurement. We have received a lot of invitations to panels and webinars from other countries, as well as the EU, and several delegations are now also heading towards Norway in order to take a closer look on how we work with innovation procurement in Norway. So only in June we have actually 2 delegations that are coming here. So the prize has really given us this recognition, which will help the startup program to further develop, so it has been really good motivation for us. So with that, I will finish off this presentation, and we'll wish you good luck with your applications. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Johan and Rosanna, for your really good interventions, and thank you for explaining to the audience and giving them some tips about how to build a winning application. So now let's start with the Q&A part, and we'll see then what our attendees what they want to ask us. So please, Laura, if you can share with us some of the questions. So the first one that we have here, do you have any tips for the applicants of the European Innovation Procurement Awards? So here I give the floor to both of you, and then maybe Rosanna, if you want. What would be your main tip based on your experience that you were one of the winners?
Well, a bit this is what I explained, no? To be first to make an analytical exercise of how your public procurement initiative fits in the awarding criteria. That's our key. This is key. How to make it sure, no? To what are the elements, and you at the end you would spot in your application. And then also when you make, since the text is limited, no? Also ensuring that while you build the text for your application, you really put the wording that really reflects your PPI initiative, your public procurement initiative, but again taking in consideration the awarding criteria. Is basic, is key, and it requires some time. So as Jorge was saying, don't do it at the last minute, because if you want to have a successful application in this competitive call, you need also to be prepared.
And Johan? Thank you, Rosanna.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would recommend that you read through the criteria carefully and then make sure that you deliver on them. And then I also think it's very important that you try to describe things as simple as you can, and not go too much in detail, so it's been difficult for the jury to understand the application. So it's important that also your grandmother can understand the application. And the third tips is if that you are lucky to be invited to the semifinals, and it's like Rosanna also described, to be well prepared and only bring in people that actually will help you to explain the application to the jury. So it's we understood that during the process, that it's when it comes to these interviews, is the most important thing is that it's not who you participate in the interview. It's more important that the people that understand the application participate.
Indeed, this is a really good set of tips. So if I can complement with some of them, so going to the part that Rosanna said from the, let's say, from the application point of view, then we always say you have to make it clear, straight to the point, but always you have to give examples, data, budget, something that can really justify and that can say that what you are saying, your statements are true. Because otherwise the jury members, they can say, okay, this is only a narrative, but then is it true? Is it not true? So if you want to get to the part that now I go to the what Johan said, to the part of the semifinals, so the hearings, then the jury members, they will need to first know that is true what you are talking about, and then later during the hearings, then they will be able to go a bit deeper in the discussions and they will ask you the questions. So that's why when Johan said about the team that you will have to compose to go to the hearings, then be really careful when you compose it, because then you will receive, if hopefully you make it to the semifinal, we will give you some tips about how to do it. But then it's important that then there you really put the people who know the application, who know what they are talking about. It doesn't need to be the CEO, doesn't need to be someone extremely high in the hierarchy, but it's better that someone who will be in front of the jury member will be able to answer to all details, because this is a really important panel and they will make you really in really good questions. So it's important that you know how to do it. So now let's go to the next one. So can you explain what the main barrier is to scaling innovations in procurement, and how can innovation price help? I don't know, Johan, or maybe Rosanna, any of you. Let's start with Johan right now.
Yeah, sure. This is a very good question. And as you all know, the main barrier for us is that the public sector is very risk averse. And of course, innovation is all about taking risks. So to be able to take risk, you have to have a top management that can show the way, and of course, politicians that wants to focus on it. And the European prize, like this is a ultimate tool in order to receive attention among both the top management and politicians. Rosanna?
Yes, thank you. If I can add, I fully agree with you, Johan, and I would also add, in our sector, that is healthcare, one of the barrier to scaling innovation is that you are already is how you create a corpus of evidence that at the end of the day you're demonstrating this innovation is bringing value. and at the end can be escalated up now from a healthcare provider to a group of health provider to health system, and maybe also to get reimbursed by the health payer. So really, one of the main difficulties is how you demonstrate that it's addressing the identified unmet needs initially identified, and the and how you build this evidence, and this is very important, because the escalation across the health system is driven by this, and the innovation prize can help a lot, really. In fact, we are using on purpose all the entities that got awarded with the prize. Now we were talking about all the entities, the buyers from here from Spain. We are using this prize for putting together some articles, scientific article, in a way that little by little we create this corpus of evidence, and we will now demonstrate the impact and how we are addressing the identified unmet needs. So it is for us a way to again to ensure the escalation and the scale up of this way to go.
So thank you, both of you. And then indeed, then an innovation prize, this prize concretely, but also the different EIC prizes can help to all of you, and that's why I want to make the link with the next question about the benefits for the winners, because as Rosanna is mentioning, it's not only about money. Of course, it's really good to receive 75,000, but in this case, it's also about the visibility that will bring to all of you across Europe, because then first of all, you will come to a big award ceremony with some of the big players on innovation procurement, and not only innovation procurement, but also some of the big players at innovation at European level. So last year we had Commissioner Gabriel, we had important people and important managers from companies here in different stakeholders in Brussels. So that's the first thing, that you will have also the chance to meet all these people and to start doing these networking activities. And then later on, of course, we will accompany you during the whole year to give you this label of the European winners of this prize. And that, as you said, it helps you in the way that you can use it later to say, hey, we have been doing this. It will help. We have seen also in other categories, in other past winners, that will help them to raise some funding when they need something to do. And also it will help, why not, to say to all of them, to those people who were saying, why do you do innovation procurement when it's so risky? Maybe you may fail and everything. And then with this prize, you can say, you see, the European Union and is recognizing what we are doing. So if we do, and we do this, is because this is something good, not only for us but also for the whole union. So let's promote innovation procurement. And also the last thing that maybe you might have heard in the European Innovation Council, there is a new body called the EIC Forum, that is a place where the different stakeholders, so member states, but also in this case innovation procurers, they meet from time to time to discuss the policies, to discuss the obstacles, and to discuss what should be the future of the European innovation policy. So we invite them, they discuss, and they come with proposals, they come with examples, they exchange, and they do also networking. So this is something that as winners, you will also be invited to become part of this big EIC community family. So now let's see then, talking about also about the visibility. I think then Rosanna and Johan, Rosanna already mentioned a bit more, but if you want to elaborate a bit more, and also Johan, how you felt after winning this, because also we could see your faces and your teams in the video, but if you want to talk a bit more about your experience and what is the impact that the prize had in you and your teams.
Well, apart from visibility, it's clear that it's very important that our team now gets visibility, and but it's more, I would say, the recognition. We are getting recognized, And this is, I think, that is key, because now, for instance, as I was explaining during my presentation, as I was slightly explaining, we are, for instance, applying the knowledge that we acquired not only with InfoCore, but with all the experience of public procurement information we were carrying out during the past 10 years to the procurement we are getting in place with the next generation funds. So and so this recognition for us is key, because it enables us to to somehow to be heard, to be listened when we speak out, and that's very important, because we have somehow demonstrated an impact, and not only we have also got awarded because this impact we have demonstrated. So yes, for us the recognition is very important. Thank you.
Yeah, and for us, this prize has been a great motivator to further develop our program. And I personally have worked with innovation procurement for around 10 years, and of course I've been aware of several both national and international procurement prizes. But I think that this stands out. I think this is the biggest one, because to receive a prize from the European Union, which sort of owns the procurement directive, and where our procurement model is recognized by the European in a European setting. That goes without saying that makes a huge impact among top management of public sector and also among politicians. So yeah, we are still very, very happy for this prize, and so we have it's a great motivator for us still.
Thank you. So you see, now you can see that from the face and the interventions of both of them, why you should really apply to this competition. So that's thank you for this So now let's go back to something about more technical details. So what about the application page limits? Because this is something that's a good question, because sometimes we receive this question also in the functional mailbox that you will see at the very end of the presentation. You will see our email. So in case that you have something else, you can always write us, and also in the funding attendance portal, when you have the link to apply, then you will have some more questions that you can also take a look, and also from past editions that in some cases they're also applicable to this one. So now about the page limit. So as you can see in the rule of contents, then you have a limitation of 15 pages. It's important for you to know that the 15 pages is not, then this is the limit. So in case that you have 16, the system will automatically delete the number 16. So everything that goes beyond 15 disappears in the system. So be aware of that. And this is also important, that what you want that the jury members read must be contained in the 15 pages. So the text, then if you put some links or whatever, you can put if you wish, but the jury members, they are only obliged to read what is in the 15 pages. So be careful with that. And then sometimes people say, but do I have a concrete limiting between the criteria? What do I need to do? Because we have 4 criteria. So what do we do? So as we have already mentioned from the beginning, you need to build a narrative that will justify the 4 criteria. So it means that you need to really justify the 4 of them. So in practice means that you cannot be excellent in criteria number 1 and 2, and then you leave almost nothing in the 3 and 4, because then it means that you will have an excellent result in 1 and 2, but you will be under the threshold of 6 in the number 3 and 4, so you will be disqualified. So try to find a balance in the way that you draft your proposal to have the same amount or the same weight in the 4 criteria, to make a balance between all of them. So, because otherwise, as I said, it can be you can be out, and you cannot pass the threshold in one of them and be disqualified. So now let's talk about the size of the companies. yes, big companies, small companies, medium-sized companies, everyone can apply. So as I mentioned before in my intervention, then what you need to be is so take a look to the eligibility criteria, but we don't talk about the size of the company. So depend regardless of the size, then you can apply. And then the next question about an accelerator program that we manage. So yes, well, I should see a bit more in detail what program or what you are exactly managing. But then in principle, what we always say to when we receive these general questions is that the important thing is that you fulfill the eligibility criteria. So what we said about you need to be a procurer, the way that we describe it, you need to be located in member state or associated country, and also about the timeline. So if you fulfill this criteria, then you can apply. But it's really important that if it's an accelerator program or whatever, it needs to be really from the size of the innovation procurement. Then we cannot accept. It doesn't matter what type of innovation the program needs to be something on innovation procurement in the way that we describe it in the rule of contest. So, because otherwise, when the jury members they will read it, they might see that it's out of scope, and they will qualify your proposal as out of scope. So, please, respect the eligibility criteria, and if you are there, then do go ahead with your proposal, but try to justify the 4-hour criteria as we said. So what about the jury members? So, well, first of all, the jury members, their identity, you will not know it until the very end. So when we will go to the award ceremony, then at that time we will reveal who the winners are, and we will reveal who the 6 jury members will be. In this case, we can tell you that there will be 2 panels, 3 and 3 in each of them, and then they come from the different parts of the European Union, and they come from different backgrounds. We have people really working on the field from a really long time ago. We have people like, let's say, more from the academic side. So it's a really complete jury panel. Also, of course, a gender balance, because then what we want to do here is we want to reflect what is the ecosystem of the innovation procurement practices. So then that's what we want to reflect, because between all of them, they will be able to assess your application from the different perspective. You can take a look, if you wish, to our website, and then like this you will see who the jury members from last year were. Like this, you will see their curriculum, you will see a bit who they were, and then it will help you to make you an idea of what we are looking for. Also, you can take a look to the different jury members in the different EIC prizes to make you an idea of how we select all this excellent jury. So the next one. Is the application possible also for individuals who work within a particular company, or it's more for teams, organizations who should submit the application? So here, both things are possible. We have had that's why, if you remember, in the past, we had until last year, we had category 1 and 3 that they were for individual, and the other, let's say, more for teams or organizations. So then what we have done now in one single category, we have put everything. So then you can apply there. The important thing is that you really justify what you are doing. And of course, if it's an individual, we will understand that then it's only this person doing everything on innovation procurement. If it's something that is an organization or a team, of course, it's always better that you go as a team and you say, for example, then that was the case, if I remember both of them. In the case, for example, Rosanna, they had a consortium, and then you say, okay, we are all these people around the European Union, and we do this. So maybe, Rosanna, you can give a bit more the example of how you were last year and about a bit of your team.
Yes, really, the application was done by the full RimoCore consortium. The full RimoCore consortium is a group of buyers, as I was explaining. At the end of the day, yes, there has been the eligible buyers were the ones winning the award, and And then also there has been the consortium, making part of the consortium. Also, we had these knowledgeable partners like Valde or like Smart Homes, or that also they were coming together with us to join the prize. And so the application was done by all of us together, because all of us, we brought not only knowledge and asset along the process. And so all of us, we deserve not to make this, to take this award at home if we were going to win. And in fact, thanks to this award, maybe I'm insisting, but it's a good thing to say it. All the ones that we made part of this award, we are now still going towards an event, not only today, but we are really joining several events talking about the remote core philosophies, how we are applying another procurement, how we are escalating it, how we are creating this corpus of evidence, how we are continuously. And we are doing this, all of us, because we feel proud of this feeling of to be recognized. We're proud that this work has been recognized, and so it's good also that we are doing, all of us together, because we all do it with our own perspective. I'm doing now from Aquas is an agency of the Department of Health, so maybe from a pay or system health perspective, the healthcare provider from the deployment perspective, adoption, the public procurer expert, or with another perspective. So that's also interesting, because this is also created this multidisciplinary message around how this could work.
I don't know if Johan, if you want to say something about this.
No, so the startup team is it's 3 organizations that cooperate. So we were a small team in order to build this application, and I think it's important that you are not too many people writing the application, so that you sort of can focus on or get the red line during the whole application. Yeah, that's my main tips when it comes to
Thank
this
you.
collaborator.
Thank you for this. And also, it's important that then when you will, you need to know that when you will go to the hearings, then if you are in DB, so it will be, we used to give around 4 people to be in the hearings to talk with the jury members. So if you are one single person, it's a bit more difficult to address this hint, while if you are 4, then it's always easier to address the different questions and the perspective of your application. But at the end, what we always say is something that remains in your hands to decide how to apply and how to come to the competition. So here is something a bit similar. So is the application, yeah. So I don't know. Okay. So how much did it take to prepare the application? So I think they said a bit, but maybe if you want to say a few words, Rosanna and Johan, how long took you?
I guess this varies from application to application, but in our case, I would say that we took a couple of days, 1 week in order to work with the application. And then, of course, it was some work in order to prepare for the hearings. But I believe that we quite immediately knew what we wanted to apply for. So therefore we sort of, it was about setting up this application, and then also, like you mentioned earlier, Georgia, that to also give some examples that sort of build up on the application. So yeah, so a couple of days, I would say.
Well, no, it's not our case, but it's true that it does not take months. It's not the same, because again, it's a short document. But again, you need to know how to know what you want to highlight in this application. and also we were looking at, well, in our case, we were selecting what procurement initiative was best fitting, in this, with the awarding criteria. But it's true that it's a matter of maybe, I would say in our case, a couple of weeks or maybe some more, because also we had to ensure that all the parties, all the different aspects were represented, all of them were contributing, so it's, since it was more a consensus document, although always Aquas as coordinator of RICMOCOR, also Aquas was leading these documents. At the end, a review from all the parties, a review, maybe they were adjusting some part of the text. So everything depends again if it's how many of us are contributing and how many of us are feeling that make part of it. So it's, I would say this is the difference between Johan experience hours.
Yeah. So thank you. So as you can see, there are different perspectives. What we always say is that take your time to write it, because then we always see when we open an application, we can see which one it was done like a last minute, and which one took a bit time to reflect and to, as I always say, it's important, and I always repeat it, to build the narrative about your project. So then it's something that sometimes, if it's the case of a consortium with like Rosanna, it takes a bit more time because you need to have the view of all of them. So please, but if it's something a bit more like in the case of Johan, that it was then the team, it might be a bit then straight to in few days, because they are all together in the same room, all together in the same agency. So that, but what we always say is that really take your time to reflect what you want to do. And also, I would invite you to start, let's say, playing with the system. So because then it might take you also a bit time to register there if it's the first time that you apply to a EU competition. So then you will find all the details in our website in the link apply here. So you go there, you register the date of your company, etc., and then later you can start downloading the different forms to see how to do it. So let's go to the next question. So I think this one, it was a bit similar to the one that I answered before about an accelerator program focused on innovation procurement from startups that work on production technologies. So if it's something that is related, as I said before, on innovation procurement, then it should fit. So what, as I said before, you need to make sure that you fulfill the eligibility criteria, and then later that in the way that what we are aiming here, the way that we describe the purpose and the scope of the competition, then it's you can fulfill the award, the 4 award criteria. So here I cannot say yes or no directly, because I don't know exactly which is the program, what is the company, etc., but then I always say then eligibility criteria, award criteria, and the way that we describe the innovation procurement practices and the scope of the application. So talking about is there any geographical limit for the country of application? So as you can see in the rule of contest, one of the eligibility criteria is where you are based. So it needs to be a EU member state, or also in this case, an associated country to Horizon Europe. So this is the scope, the geographical scope for the applicants to be part. And then in the last one, if I don't see any other, then are there some specific conditions for spending the money of the prize? The answer is no. So it's no, but with some caveats. It's no, because this is a recognition prize. So what we want to do is recognize what you have done until the moment that you achieve that you submitted your application. So we want to give you this money as an award. So we will not ask you some reports. We will not ask you afterwards what you did with your money. But of course, we will be vigilant that then you apply and you use the money for something legal and for what is, let's say, according to the EU laws. So then, of course, you cannot invest EU budget in illegal activities, of course. But we understand that you will use it in a legal and correct way. In most of the cases, what we have in in this prize and in others is that winners, they use the money to continue their work on, in this case, innovation procurement. In the others, then in the prize in iCapital, we see that they invest in the city to continue doing some programs. So this is something that is at the end remains on in your hands. So let me see the last question. Specifically, what is meant by innovation procurement, PCP, PPI, innovation partnership, or is it innovation considered in general? So in this case, then we consider it innovation procurement in the broader perspective. So you can see in the rule of context what exactly we mean about that, and then all the practices that are in there then will fall in the scope of the prize. So I don't know if we have any other. Yeah. So will the jury conduct an interview with the candidates? Yes, that's the part that we were discussing before when we talk about the hearings. So how it works is as follows. So until the 17th of August, you have the time to submit your application. Then we will give them to the jury members. Then they will review them individually until December, and then with them they will identify who the semi-finalists are. So the semi-finalists, they will be invited to a hearing, so to an interview in front of the jury members, and then during a maximum of 1 hour, the candidates, so the semi-finals, they will have to defend their application. So they will have around 15 minutes, if I recall well, 15 minutes to present their applications, to defend it in front of the jury members, and then afterwards the jury will do around 30-40 minutes of interview about the whole content of the application. So, but if you arrive to this part, then we will give you much more detailed information about how to be ready for the hearings, and it will be a hearing online, the jury members. So okay, so I think I don't see any other questions. So just to thank you to all of you for your participation. I want to thanks especially to Rosanna and to Johan for being here with us. So before closing, I will give the floor to Rosanna and then to Johan, and then I will come back to close the session. So Rosanna, thank you very much.
Thanks to you. Thanks to you for different things. One is for inviting us to be here today, but also for recognizing our work. So thanks to EISMEA, because that's also a very important thing. And really, I would like to give a stimulus, a boost, a push to the attendees to apply their candidature, their projects to this award, because it's really important to get it recognized with all the effort we are doing in public procurement innovation. So why not? Let's do it. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you also from our side, Georgia. It's been a great pleasure to both participate in the prize process and also in this event. Innovation procurement is about taking risks, and it's very difficult to work with this kind of processes. So it's to have a prize like this is very important in order to get full recognition of the work that is done within this field. So I will only encourage everybody to send in their proposals, because as mentioned in my presentation, it has given us a great recognition from our work, and also we have been also got more focus from the politicians and the top managers in the public sector. So it's I can only just recommend everybody to take a close look at the next year's prize.
So thank you, both of you. You were excellent last year. You were the winners of last edition, so it was a real pleasure. So thank you everyone for being here today with us. As I said before, I recommend to. So I invite you to apply to this competition, to this edition. You have until the 17th of August. And before giving the floor to my colleague Laura to close the session, I want to thank all of you and also my colleagues behind the screens. So Rosanna, Johan, and my colleagues Maria Laura and Rosanna, and Rashida, who made this session possible. So thank you to all of you. And then Laura, the floor is yours. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jorge, and for the participants. So as Jorge mentioned, you can share additional questions to this functional mailbox that you see on the screen. Just to remind you that there will be a small satisfaction survey appearing on your screens just at the end of this session. So we really invite you to share your feedback with us, because it will help us improve the next info session that we are organizing about this prize or other European Innovation Council prizes. Also, as we reminded you at the beginning of the info session, this info session has been recorded, and we will upload the recordings and this PowerPoint to the European Innovation Procurement Awards webpage, which will also be appear, of course, in this presentation, and you can find on the European Innovation Council website. You can also just type it in Google and you will find it immediately. And then you will receive also, as you register to this event, a specific email with the links to the webpage, to the recordings, and of course to the related PowerPoint presentation. So thank you very much again for your participation. As I said, if you have further questions or if you want to, let's say, to double check again the PowerPoint or the recordings, they will be shared with you and will be also available on our webpage. Thank you very much. And I think we can stop the recording and the info session here. Thank you.